Aye.
Trustee Barris. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Aye.
And Trustee,
Essex.
What's his name?
you got it, you in the yellow shirt.
Okay, now we can go through the workshop.
Okay, I call this meeting to order at, is that right? 6:36 PM on Tuesday, January 16th, 2018, a workshop. Let's review the resolutions. The bond resolution for the Barker Commons grant. Anybody have anything to say? Have we read through it? Comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. You know, this is a humongous compromise for me because up to this point here, I've had nil to no to do with this project at all. And it's this is going way above and beyond my comfort zone to do this here because I'm going to be seeking the same from the mayor and that this project can move forward with much public review and review from the trustees. So just want to let everybody know that. I wish the mayor was here so that I could speak to her as well.
Anybody else? Any other trustees? Any comments?
No, I think that
No.
said everything, everything I had to say up to this point is more than sufficient.
Okay, we have an annual request from the Farmers Market Committee.
That's the usual stuff for them to use to run a village hall.
Okay.
The weekly farmers.
And Bill, last year there was an issue with the bathrooms. Has that been resolved?
Yeah, they do use the bathrooms, they control the key, so they only give it to vendors out there. They're not open to the public, but they are open to the vendors. And there's one person there, the manager of the farmer's market that manages that key, so that the village hall isn't open to, completely open.
The engineering, design, bidding, and construction services from Wendell.
Yeah, no, I think everybody got a copy of the revised
Yes.
proposal from Wendell. So that's what they did. One of the things that we should be aware of, that they're, in order to reduce the fee, what they've done is they've actually reduced the project by one project that will actually be bid as a separate project if we want to go forward with it.
Okay.
So it'll be like a change order when we get it, okay?
Mhm.
So that's called a grit classifier,
Okay.
but it's brought down the fees from them.
Are we to understand that the fees were high because of the grant and all the things involved within the grant, and that's what?
That's correct. There's a lot of when you look at the I sent around an explanation that the engineers had
Mhm.
sent.
I read it.
Sent to us this afternoon, and you're exactly right. There are a lot of stipulations in an EFC grant that drive a lot of costs into the program itself, into the project.
Mhm.
So, such as managing the minorities and women-owned businesses, and there's a whole process involved in that type of stuff. So they manage all of that on behalf of the village.
Yes.
So there is substantial costs. I know that Wendell said that in their project, there's about $70,000 worth of additional costs associated with the water project. So they've articulated what the actual costs that they have to incur in order to adhere to the terms of the EFC grants.
I was glad they sent that explanation because it did clarify things, and thank you
Yeah.
for sending it to us.
Yes, thank you.
So now we're down to the 15%, which is somewhat reasonable, because I know they did a project for the city of Dunkirk's wastewater treatment plant. I believe that was roughly 14%, so.
Mhm.
Yep.
So we're,
Yeah. You know, we had the same situation when we did the roof on Village Hall through the Office of Parks and Historic Preservation.
All the hoops and-
They have specifics that they want done to a project. And even though your architect might be saying, well, you could get away with this, you can get away with that, if they say no, you have to go back to their original design, and you have to do it their way, and it does drive costs into the final project.
Okay, the water system improvements, DWSRF project number 18389 from O'Brien Gear.
I had a conference call with O'Brien and Gear this afternoon with two of the engineers, and unfortunately, there's not anything in here that they could actually do to reduce that. I brought up a couple things like the engineering for the filter beds up at the water plant, which was part of the project. They had in there that we had 3 beds that they were going to actually change out, and we had already done 2 of the 4, so there were only 2 beds. They said that really has nothing to do with the engineering aspect of it. That will all fall out as part of the cost of the project, the construction of the project. So it doesn't have anything to do with the engineering side of it. So there's no cost savings there. The other thing that I had picked up was the generator up there at the Webster Road, and actually there's a generator over on Millard Fillmore. They were both supposed to be diesel. They said as long as there's natural gas available in both of those places. I'm not so sure up there on Webster Road. I would think there's gas there because BOCES is out there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, but they said that that would be part of their analysis to find out whether natural gas was available, and if it was, they would just change out, rather than do diesel, do natural gas. So they're going to do those, but there are no cost savings from an engineering perspective to do that. So their proposal is the same proposal that they had on the table before. They went through the project. Mike Manning and I had gone through the project before, and actually the inspection service fees were actually higher, and he had knocked those down in order to, bring the costs down already. So, a second bite at the apple, there was nothing that they could do. So I put it on there for your consideration a second time if you wanted to consider that, because, again, the EFC is waiting on us to provide things, and this is the first thing they're looking for is the engineer contract for design of the project.
Okay. Awarding the RFP for Barker Common improvements. Comments? Things want to say? Anything additional?
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? It's the last resolution on your
Yes.
packet.
I'd like to
Okay.
pass out a handout. This is from our comprehensive study that was done, and we have that. Raj, pass these around. There's some extra for the media if they want. At that time, it's a chart from our comprehensive study that showed aspects of downtown that need attention, and question what is it about downtown you don't like or you feel needs attention. I just wanted to highlight where, at that time, this Barker Commons was. It was at the bottom of the list of like 13 or 14. You had Crow population in the middle and other on top of Barker Common. I'm not saying that we don't need to do some things there. I'm just saying the public's input at that time was, that was the least of things we need to address. So retail shops, parking meters, traffic lights, restaurants, upkeep of buildings or grounds, Crow population, bars, pubs, special events, replace and improve sidewalks, theater, entertainment, architectural charm, other than Barker Commons. I just want to make sure everybody knew, based on what the citizens at 2011 thought, what aspects of downtown that needed attention.
But they also recommended in the comprehensive plan, the idea of what the visioning and also recommendation of the engineering group that did the study for us, which would implement the idea of sustaining that, the parks at a much higher level than into the future in the downtown area. But a big focus as using that, the parks as the focal point for the center of the downtown, and utilizing that to develop the growth and development of the business district in the downtown area. So keep that in mind when they also taking portions of the study out and just try and focus on one portion of the study. You should look at the whole study and the recommendations that are also with it.
Okay, well, I think this is pretty
It is.
explanative of what was needed at the time. I'm not saying we don't need to do
No.
needed things there, I'm just stating.
Just another
7 years
view, just
ago.
another view of the study. So I mean, that's for one from you and one from myself. And that's,
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Kara, excuse me.
Yes, Nate.
I think during the workshop, there's 2 blanks in the resolution.
Yeah, well, I filled in those
Did you
blanks
fill 'em in?
with, yeah,
Okay.
with the low bidder.
Sure. And if that was the
No, if
consensus-
the board does not want to go at low bidder, that creates a whole set of other
Issue.
things.
That's
that-
our
Right.
recommendation.
Right.
Would you would-
Okay.
A little better, I'm going with that. I felt that there's sufficient reasoning to go with that company anyhow.
I agree.
And I think that not only does it save money, but it also is a company that can do the job. Is my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I think that company, or that firm, Nate, you can attest, I think they heavily involve public input and involvement. So that's, I think, at this point, it's a good thing to start that, maybe.
Absolutely. And the scope of work that we developed in the RFP will allow for additional public engagement, walking tours, et cetera, to determine the final scope and budget of the project.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. We have a request from the 1891 Opera House for use of East and West Barker Common gazebo and the village streets on April 29th for a 5K run. I believe that's like a fundraiser. Comments? I think the village trustees should form a relay team.
That's what they make automobiles for, Kara.
Oh, come on, Doug. You can do a mile. The Fredonia Chamber of Commerce Annual Election and Awards Banquet is on February 8th at the Beaver Club this year. We're honoring, several business people and people who are very involved in a lot of the things, festivals, Fredonia and things are going to be honored, so that'll be a nice evening.
I have one new thing under new business,
Mhm.
if I could. This week here, I emailed the board and the rest of the administration some ideas. There's a code red system the city of Dunkirk was investigating. Councilman Mike Silvaletto had a situation where people weren't even notified of when there was a travel advisory. I gave the board some information to look at. The code red system will send a text message right to your cell phone as well, send a verbal message via landline system. It's kind of a GPS thing that involves with an app on your phone that you could be alerted of emergency situations and non-emergency situations. It could be used for anything emergency-wise, water main breaks, boil orders, road closures, flooding, public service announcements, missing persons, neighborhood watch, active shooter alerts, hazardous material spills, and many more. Non-emergency community events, festivals, music in the park, event cancellations. This is just something that I would like the board to look at. Chief Walker also handed out a New York alert. It's a similar option. But this is something I thought that we could, maybe, there's a cost to it, and the city of Dunkirk, they were kind of worried about the cost. And I don't know if there's a cost to New York alert. I don't think there is, but I don't know what the capabilities are. But this is something that we could kind of combine with the connections, central connections that We're trying to promote events and information between the communities and the college. And I was going to kind of bring this to the college too, to see what their thoughts were on it. But
It's voluntary, right, so people would have to join and put in their number.
that is correct.
Right.
If you want
People
to.
don't want to, they don't have to.
It's an app that you have.
The cell phone to use, so the people that's not, it wouldn't cover the people with the landlines.
Yes, it does.
It
It
would.
also would cover landline. It would
Like a
send a
global
message right to your
Mhm.
landline phone.
Okay.
And
Sort of like the schools, well, the school has, the central school system has this
Right.
already, because all the, if you're,
Right.
the school,
Ryan knows a lot about this, the New York alerts, which.
The New York alert's been in since early 2000 across New York State, across the whole state. Recently, they come out with the iAlerts app. I personally have utilized this for several years. Bridge closings, road closings, fire scenes. Pretty self-explanatory on, this is a handout brochure that they had online. It can be sent to a fax machine, email address, landline, cell phone. There's no cost associated to it. The county emergency services right now has it set up where they can send out, make one phone call to dispatch and they send out, Main Street's closed from Temple to Cushing, or the college, SUNY campuses use SUNY Alert, which is basically a privatized section of the New York Alert through the government, and that's how they notify all their students and they keep track of all that stuff. I quickly downloaded the iAlerts app because I didn't know anything about that at first. It'll literally give you, like, if you're in Fredonia, you pull up fire department, it'll give you the fire department's phone number or the closest hospital and the phone number, law enforcement, where everything's located. It's free. If you don't have a cell phone, there is an 800 number that can call. If you don't have internet access to be able to sign up for it, you can call the 800 number. They'll set you through the steps, and those they use reverse 911 calls. So if you have a landline, it'll ring into your house. It's similar to what appears on our message board in front of the fire department. You see like the weather alerts and different things. It'll do.
I have a question. Can you, if you sign up for this, can you choose which alerts you want to get so that you wouldn't be getting like a million of them all the time? You know what I mean?
customize.
Right.
Basically, there's categories in there. There's missing children, there's the Amber Alert, there's the Silver Alert. You can be notified of special weather coming in, road closures, fires. You can actually break it down into a whole bunch of categories. For instance, like this weekend, there was one came across my phone for the sewage spill in Dunkirk. It was, so it's, the system's already in place. I think it's more of an education to get the citizens to utilize it.
Right, yeah.
You can, as a municipality, sign up to be host your own messages for Fredonia, and it'll break it down to jurisdiction. Like, I have Chautauqua County in mind, but you can actually break it down right to just the village of Fredonia, town of Pomfret, city of Dunkirk by municipality as well.
Okay. So then who would be the person responsible for sending out the alert?
Right now, it's through dispatch emergency services, but it could be set up to,
I mean, like if you're going to customize it for the village of Fredonia.
Right, it would have to be an official through, they would register through New York State and have a username and log in. And
Okay.
it could be, it could be the mayor, one of the trustees, Rick, myself,
Mhm.
the police chief, anybody really.
as it is now, though, if there was an emergency situation in Fredonia and they notified you, then you could alert the county and then it would be on there.
Yes. If I have a direct phone number, a gentleman that.
So it's actually working now. It'd be working just fine.
I think it's a great
The
idea.
National Weather Service is
Everything's
connected in
there.
with it as well. Anything that feeds off of like an RSS feed, like news feeds and that.
And
there's,
it's free.
basically the web, the World Wide Web picks it up and puts it back out. National Weather Service broadcasts all their, storm warnings and different things across it as well.
There's been some problem with false alarms. I'm thinking
Yeah.
particularly the situation
Hawaii.
in Hawaii last weekend, and there was a similar situation in Japan this morning.
Really?
So in Chautauqua County, I think 10 years ago, We had an unfortunate experience with reverse 911. None of the citizens realized what was happening. Their telephone rang and they got a warning. So that caused enormous confusion.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I think, these things need to be considered
Absolutely.
as well.
I mean, also, Brian, I mean, we have I am responding and stuff for emergency services, yeah. But this code red, I mean, this, I'm not proposing this, I'm just bringing up the idea that any of these services could be utilized. The code red actually uses the GPS in your phone, so when you come in the range of the village of Fredonia, you get Fredonia
The iAlerts,
Oh,
alerts.
the iAlerts
If
app
you go
does
to-
the same thing.
Oh, does it?
As long as you have your,
if you have it
Oh,
turned
okay.
on, your location on.
GPS
GPS.
turned on in there, it'll bring you up to whatever
Okay.
municipality.
I
you're
like
in.
the idea
Well,
of
that's-
using a service that's already in place and there's no cost to the residents. I won't have to put another line in the budget for something
Absolutely, but you know what?
that's already available, yeah.
That's fine, that's super, and I was gonna,
That's great.
if there was no other, and this is strictly to bring up ideas and conversation on it.
I think it's a great
And when
idea,
stuff
Doug.
like
It's-
that happens,
there's no
that's
doubt.
super. But I mean, I was gonna look if that was the only thing, and depending on what we wanted, New York Alert may work perfectly fine, but I was gonna seek other funding sources, or maybe grants, or maybe FEMA,
Right.
there could be a number of things, and
Yeah.
if you split it, if it was something that would work, and the New York Alert, iAlert may work with Dunkirk and Fredonia and the college and so forth, because I mean, there's so
College
many,
is using
their own
their
alert
version
system.
of New York Alert, it's SUNY Alert.
Mhm.
And anytime they do an evacuation or canceling of classes, whatever, it's throughout to all the students. And it's something that is specific for the students only, it doesn't go to their parents or anything else, so it's kept in-house there.
I guess, when I was speaking to the college, I wasn't thinking of actual emergency alerts, I was thinking maybe events and things that are happening, once you come into Dunkirk, Fredonia, you get all these, if you
Right.
so choose to sign up for them, you get an alert for,
Like the farm festival or
Yes, anything
whatever.
like that,
Yeah.
so.
And there
that's-
may be a way to utilize that through this too. Right now, it's used for emergency communication and closures and weather hazards and that kind of thing, but it could be expanded on. I know they're looking at,
It does say, well, it says private notifications on safety and awareness,
You
so.
could have it
So, yeah.
down to a community-based, underneath like the private sector of it.
Did you have something to say, sir?
I live on Burnett Drive, and with this water issue that we had this past summer, we never got notified by anybody that we couldn't drink the water. I guess the system failed because they will not leave a message on the answer machine on a landline. Nobody else ever stopped, nobody ever told us. We read about it in the paper probably a day later, and if I didn't subscribe to the paper, I would not know about it, so.
New York Alert?
I don't know what they used for the reverse callback during that
Do you know,
time,
Rick?
if that's what it was.
But you do have a
I know
flaw.
they use the reverse callback, that's. what
Yes,
they
that did not operate correctly for that. Whether it was advising people to boil their water and to stop boiling their water, it failed on both ends, so.
I mean, we got more information from the village of fire department on their flashing screen down here than we did from the village of Fredonia, by the way, or anybody in the village of Fredonia.
So what exactly was the problem? We got a
Uh,
message.
I'm not sure what some people didn't get the notification to start it, hours or days or at all. And when they were gonna cancel it, I forgot what it was, they said,
They were telling people to boil
to
water.
continue to boil the water instead of
Right.
canceling it, and then I
And shortly
gave Rick a
after,
call
they
to
said
call
no,
the county, and they
no.
redid it
Yeah.
again.
I got all of
It was
those.
messed up at the county level.
So you
That
didn't
was
get
the
any
count-
messages at all?
So that was the,
No.
Nothing?
No. We typically don't answer our landline because we get requests for donations,
right.
political, we don't answer anything, to tell you the
But
truth.
for 2 days, until we got the observer, our area did not know we weren't supposed to be drinking that water.
And I
Well,
think this is what brings us to this conversation tonight.
sure.
We're trying to find that.
Right, and that's why we're here tonight.
Right. But again, we realize there is a communication problem, and Doug brought up some information tonight that you know,
Yeah.
as a group.
We
we're
haven't
looking.
even been told, we get up in the morning and we have no water. And we don't know what's going on, so we call the.
These sort of things could be
the
alerts
junker-
that could be-
You know, we call.
Right.
On
the
whatever system
police,
we choose.
We ask them what's going on, we try
Do you-
to get a hold of
Maybe
the
your number is
department.
somehow not in the system.
Do you use a
I don't know.
cell phone then too, in
Yeah.
addition?
Yeah, we
So-
both have
cells.
Well, and I'm wondering if they could then set up for this app so that would then, what Ryan was saying, then that would then achieve the notification to you because of that reason. Because if it's not going to leave a message on your home phone that you'd have a machine on, then having that app on your phone set up so that it would receive what Ryan was saying would be a great solution.
Right, but in addition to this unhealthy water, and I'm also saying is, we don't know when we have breaks in water and our streets are being flooded, or our
Right.
house could be flooded.
These kind of
because
notifications
nobody
would
in the
advise you
area
of
is
all that.
notified.
Right,
What
this
we
would
need
take
to
care
do
of
is
that.
Adapt a program that the village knows, or the residents know which program we're gonna be using. So
Yeah.
they get that information, and
Right.
everyone logs in. That's
Right.
really why we're here tonight, is to
Mhm.
discuss or pick
Absolutely.
a program and just let everybody know this is the
Yeah.
program we choose.
Yeah, and I'm not, advising towards one or the other, whatever works, whatever is cost effective, and whatever meets all the requirements and the needs of our residents. I mean, this is exactly why. I mean, I was not happy with the way we were advised of either have boil and not boil water anymore, so I understand.
Very important.
It is.
It
very
is.
important.
It's kind of a healthy thing.
Yes.
We agree.
So yes, I hope the board will look into different options and consider
Quickly.
discussing this.
Oh, no, this is, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't
definitely-
a-
this is- Yeah.
This isn't a long-term think-out thing here. This is a common sense. This is what we have to do and just go with the best policy.
Unfortunately, when did we have the boil water? And you're bringing it up today? How long ago was this? And I'm not scolding anybody on the board, but maybe I am. But how long did it take to bring it up to the board now?
Couple of weeks. I mean,
When
yeah.
did we have the water boil?
No, it was-
Well, no, I mean, again, that administration was prior to of some of us coming on
I-
board. So
I-
again, here's a situation where,
Mhm.
we realized this
Well,
during,
During that boil water order, I was the one that, now I'm not trying to take credit, but I did ask to utilize the fire department's electronic sign. I mean, it wasn't like, none of us were not thinking, we were, and we're trying to be proactive. Sometimes, we need citizen input to give us some ideas too. We don't always have all the right ideas, and if citizens can come forward with ideas, that'd be more than welcome.
Sounds like you got a fire chief that knows a lot of this stuff, so maybe you should have utilized him. And I am, again, scolding some of you guys, so, and girls.
Thank you.
Okay, old business?
I have another new business
Okay.
item. I had a complaint from a citizen yesterday about snowy streets. He was concerned that he hadn't seen any plowing or salting activity over the weekend. And I told him that it was my opinion that salt is ineffective in very cold temperatures. He didn't accept that explanation. I would appreciate it if our Director of Public Works would comment.
And basically, you're correct, the salt's not gonna work below 20 degrees, not as effectively as it would if it's over 20 degrees. It still does work to some degree, but it takes some time and it takes traction from vehicles to beat up the hardback, if you wanna call it. We've been accused of not plowing, we've plowed every street in the village of Fredonia and sold it 8 times since Friday afternoon. So those statements are incorrect. The salt's starting to work, we are starting to bear up, we're starting to see some pavement today. It's just gonna take some time, we got hit with, I think people tend to lose track of the fact that we've had some real mild winters for the last 4 or 5 years. This is an old-fashioned winter, you're gonna get some hardback, it's gonna take us some time to get it off. There is no miracle way of getting snow and ice off the road, it just takes time. But, we're working on it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can I guess I'd like also, because I had someone mention something to me, clarification about like sidewalks. Do people have a responsibility to clear out their sidewalks, or is that the villages, or what? Maybe we just need some clarification again?
Yes.
If you could
We-
give that to us.
We plow sidewalks when time permits and when I have personnel and equipment available.
Sure.
It's done as a courtesy.
Okay.
It's the responsibility of the property owner to clear their sidewalks.
Okay. I've seen a lot of people walking in the streets,
Mhm.
because a lot of people just don't clear out their
Yeah.
sidewalks, and it
My
concerns
priority
me.
has to be parking lots and
Absolutely.
municipal parking lots in the streets.
Sure.
For the safety and welfare of the pedestrians and the vehicle traffic.
Is failure to plow sidewalks being enforced? I'm not aware of any enforcement activity.
That's a good question. How do we enforce it?
I don't think the code articulates any enforcement.
So it's
I think
it's
it's just that
people.
it states that it's up to the individual adjacent homeowner to make, the sidewalk safe for walking.
Mhm.
There is no enforcement type of activity that's associated with those statements.
I believe the
It doesn't
post
say
office
that
will
if-
not deliver your mail with your mailbox, if your sidewalk or walkway is not cleared as well, so.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's enforcement, but it might be an encouragement.
Right.
Yeah, it
We do
doesn't-
try to get out and plow them when we can, but it's just not always possible.
Right.
Right. And that's, when we do plow, that's like Perry said, it's a courtesy and it's a rough plow. It's still up to the homeowner to take that sidewalk and take the snow completely down to the bare pavement. It's not up to the village. The village
Right.
does leave a,
Little bit,
a
yeah.
path on top. Yeah. So,
I know we're gonna have some warmer weather coming up this weekend, but just on the back of your mind, the college students are returning this week. So Central Avenue, Temple, if you guys have some time,
Once we get caught up with the streets, I
Yeah.
have intentions of hitting both my machines
Yeah.
on the sidewalk.
as you know as well as I do, they'll be walking the streets and,
Mhm.
if we can get them off the street, I think it's,
Well, truthfully, I've seen them walking in the road and the sidewalk hasn't been plowed.
well,
so.
that's true.
When we wear gym shoes in the middle of February.
In shorts,
January.
in shorts, yeah. Thanks, Barry.
Anybody else have new business? Okay, old business.
Whereabouts in this meeting is public comment?
That'd be
That's during the meeting.
during the regular part of the regular meeting. This is the workshop where you're allowed to comment on everything that we discuss during the workshop portion, but
What about
nothing else.
Other issues that need to be addressed?
During the open portion of the regular meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, old business? Carroll Avenue drainage? Anything else to?
I don't think there's anything else to report.
Okay, didn't know if there was anything else that we
Yeah.
needed to
Okay.
discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, pending implementation? Anything?
there-
Nothing? Okay. Anybody have committee reports? Okay,
Everybody knows the executive session is canceled.
yep,
Okay. Okay.
okay, so.
Started as soon as the
Okay.
workshop was complete, so.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In a special meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 16th day of January 2018 at 7:10 PM in the Trustees' Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
If you want to change you want to switch off.
Have someone else read.
Yeah, have somebody else read the resolutions that Kara was going to read.
Mike, okay, go ahead.
Whereas notice of this meeting was given to the Board of Trustees and the news media as required by law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that a special meeting of this Board of Trustees be held at this time and place to consider any business that may come before this board.
Do I have to ask?
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
And do I also, yes, and aye, yes.
There are no reports tonight, and there is no correspondence.
Okay, public portion. Do we have anybody who would like to say something?
Now's the time.
Now it's
Would,
time?
yeah.
Sure.
Can you please stand up and state your name, please? Thank you.
I'm Zen Olo. I live at 23 Burnett Drive. I'm here with my wife Rosemary. I have two separate issues that I'd like to bring up before the board. One is the numerous water breaks that happen on Burnett Drive. As one of the newer subdivisions in the village of Fredonia, annually we have water main breaks that shut down our water periodically. This past summer, I know of at least two that happened on Burnett Drive, strictly Burnett Drive. Now, there was comments made by, I don't know if it was you, Perry, or one of your workers, that it could be faulty insulation of the water pipes or hot soil. I don't know which one it is, but we have numerous water main breaks, and it causes us disruption in our household, and I like to have thoughts and what can be done to resolve this issue. We're out without water for hours. It hasn't been into days yet, but if it ends up being into days, somebody's gonna pay for a motel room, so I'll tell you that right now. The second issue is the flooding that occurs on Burnett Drive, down where I live, down in the second part or the newest part of the subdivision. My house is, I think we just had our 20th anniversary. In this 20 years, we've had water in our basement that comes through our basement windows, and it floods our downstairs, our part of our remodeled area. Thousands of dollars worth of damage. I mean, I pay up to over $10,000 worth of property taxes. Combination of taxes for the village of Fredonia. This past the time when Water Street was flooded, I was out in the cul-de-sac cleaning the drains with water up to my knees because the road was impassable. I've talked to Perry, I talked to Dan, and there is a drainage ditch that needs to be maintained alongside of, in back of Ketchum's house. It hasn't been done. I know that we had an early winter, but I need to have guarantees that it'll be maintained, and something needs to be done with the water that keeps on coming down into our subdivision. I don't know if Ventura's Drive, which is upstream of the creeks that flow down by through us, if that's impacting us because there's a lot more concrete, but we've had issues in the past 20 years, and I need to have it resolved. Okay?
Thank you for your comments, sir.
I just want to add a couple of things too, because a couple of times Zen wasn't home. I've called the police, I've called the water. We, like I said earlier, we are not notified that there is a water break on Chestnut. We're not notified there is one up on Burnett earlier. The one that happened in front of the newest part of the cul-de-sac. I mean, the road was, you were there. And thank God he was there with his crew. I mean, it was, they were trying to find it. They had to dig up the road. They had to dig up the circle. They were wonderful. They worked there very hard, okay? I've had it, okay, guys? I mean, we built this house. We have a 3-story, and this goes on every single year, okay? We have had massive damage in our lower level, okay, which is finished. Massive damage We've invested more money in the drainage in our house and they're going to the village's drains. They came down 2 years ago to clean out some of the roots and stuff. Yes, my husband was out there every single year. He's out there. I was out there. Our next door neighbor was out there. And we were trying to keep the leaves and the debris so the water could go down. It was knee high. I called the police, told them we had a problem. After we got, 2 hours I guess we were outside, I called them back and I told them, record my message. Because I am not putting up with this anymore. I'm not. I shouldn't have to be out there getting a cold with my, legs up to my knees in water. I shouldn't have to worry about the drinking water, and I am very concerned about it. If it's the pipes and if it's the soil, I stop drinking the water. We go out and buy the water, and I don't think that's right. Somebody needs to come, test this water, and ensure that that water is healthy to drink. Because right now, I need to have it tested.
Can the village accommodate that for us?
And we are representing our neighbors. Okay, we don't feel alone on this.
Thank you. We'll have to look into that. Thank you.
David?
My name's Dave Brickman. I've got two issues. First, I'd like to ask the Board of Trustees if they would consider, please, requiring themselves to receive training, government training, as part of their job. Currently, most of the people who work for the village are required to get training for their positions annually. Code enforcement, law enforcement, judges, planning, zoning, etc. Every department head, but not the elected officials. As an elected official, there are no prerequisites. And although nothing in your background would necessarily qualify you to sit on the board of directors for a multi-million-dollar corporation with all the responsibilities of a governmental body, that's essentially what has happened. It's not a criticism, it's just the way it is. It just seems reasonable to expect that you would need training to excel in this position. Every year, the legal process of running the government changes. New changes in state and federal regulations, updates to the tax code, grant funding opportunities, and the requirements for applying. And despite your best intentions, you will not be up to date on these issues without regular training and updates. The residents of the village deserve and expect that you can and will understand the issues in front of you and that you will be doing everything in your power to be as prepared as you can to administrate and legislate on our behalf. So that's proposal one. Secondly, I would like to advocate for the board to vote in favor of the Barker Commons bond. It's my opinion as a local business owner, member of the Village of Fredonia Planning Board, that this is a simple and cost-effective opportunity that should not be passed by. It's important for all communities to be doing everything they can to make sure that they have clean, functioning, and vibrant downtowns, and Fredonia is no exception. The Barker Commons has always been Fredonia's postcard picture, and we need to continue to maintain and improve its facility as the cornerstone of our downtown. Whether we are seen as a community that has a positive vision for the future and is a place to live and own a business is in your hands. Please use this opportunity as a way to ensure that the residents are represented as living in a community that has a future and not as a community whose best days are behind them. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I close the public portion. Resolutions. Should we have someone else read that?
You want to read
We'll do the same thing.
Thanks.
that? Oh, you don't want to?
That's okay. A resolution authorizing the issuance of $415,000 bonds of the Village of Fredonia, Chautauqua County, New York, to pay the cost of the consideration of improvements to various parks in and for said village. A copy of the bond resolution is attached to and made part of these minutes. Should I keep going? The question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to vote on a roll call, which results as the following.
That's as far as you go. Now you can call for a roll call.
Okay, a roll call vote. Trustee Christina votes yes. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek,
Yes.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Yes.
The resolution, do I read that? Okay, the resolution was thereupon duly adopted by a 5-0 vote.
Just so everybody knows, this is the park grant out there, Barker Common.
Okay, someone. You got next one.
Shall I take it?
Sure.
Be it resolved.
I never said
that
You never
request-
seconded.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yes,
you're right. You
I
need to second
second
the
that. I'm
resolution.
sorry, I
Sorry.
apologize.
Go ahead and call off.
Do it again. Okay. Trustee Christina votes yes. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Yes.
Then I think we have, then what, do we second it?
We already did.
That's what he did.
That's what I did. I didn't do it the
Okay,
first
the
time.
resolution was thereupon duly adopted by 5-0 vote. Okay.
Now you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Be it resolved that request of the Fredonia Farmers Market to close Church Street between Day Street and Temple Street, and the use of East Barker Common every Saturday from May 19th, 2018 to October 27th, 2018, during the hours of 7 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. is hereby approved.
I second that motion.
Okay, Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia desires to retain the engineering services of Wendell Engineering of Williamsville, New York for the preliminary engineering, design, bidding, and construction services at the Village Wastewater Treatment Plant per their proposal dated January 10th, 2017, and whereas a proposed agreement between Wendell Engineering and the Village of Fredonia as has been presented to this board to perform said services for a total estimated fee of $737,000, $737,750 as follows. The preliminary and detailed design and bidding service, $415,000 lump sum. Construction services and administration and observation, $322,750 time and expenses. Now, therefore, be it resolved that said agreement with Wendell Engineering is hereby approved to perform said services at an estimated cost of $737,750, and the mayor is authorized to sign said agreement on behalf of the Village of Fredonia.
Second.
Okay, Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Christina votes yes.
Be it resolved that O'Brien and Gear Engineering of Syracuse, New York be retained for professional engineering services associated with the water system improvements, DWSRF project number 18389, per their proposal dated December 22nd, 2017, for an overall budget of $239,100, which includes labor and direct expenses, and is summarized as follows. Preliminary design phase, $75,500. Final design phase, $58,300. Bidding assistance, $9,500. Construction phase services, $53,300. Inspection services, hourly rate budget of $42,500. A total not to exceed $239,100. And be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign a letter of agreement to this effect on behalf of the Village of Fredonia.
Second.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
And Trustee Christina votes yes.
Whereas the village solicited requests for proposals, RFP, from various engineering and design companies for the Barker Common improvements related to a grant received through the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, Environmental Protection Fund Municipal Grant Program, And whereas several RFPs were received in response to the solicitation, now therefore be it resolved that the bid for professional design services for Barker Common Improvement Project have been opened and hereby awarded to the low bidder, Joy Kubler Landscape Architect, PC, located at 65 Zimmerman Street, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, in the amount not to exceed $41,000. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees will be engaged in the design phase of the Barker Common Improvements projects and will determine the final design and project scope and budget prior to the awarding any further construction contracts.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britt?
Yes.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Christina votes yes.
Yep, you don't-
I
no
make a
further-
motion,
Oh, good.
I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's no further business.
I'll second that.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britt?
Yes.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Christina votes yes.